Picture this. You're a hummingbird, zipping toward your favorite sugar water feeder, when suddenly razor-sharp claws lock onto your skull. Within seconds, you're being devoured alive by an insect barely half your size. This isn't some horror movie scene. It's the terrifying reality of facing a praying mantis, one of nature's most ruthless assassins disguised as a harmless prayer-posing bug. What you think you know about these creatures is just the tip of the iceberg. Sure, everyone's heard about females eating their boyfriends, but that's child's play compared to what scientists have recently uncovered. These seemingly innocent insects are rewriting the rules of the animal kingdom, and their abilities are so extraordinary that researchers compare them more to vertebrates than their fellow bugs. We're talking about creatures that can change colors like mood rings, see in 3 better than most animals, and hunt prey 3 times their size with surgical precision. But here's the kicker. They're doing all this with brains smaller than a pinhead. The more we learn about praying mantises, the more they shatter everything we thought we knew about insect intelligence and capability. The ultimate masters of deception before we dive into their killing techniques. Let's talk about perhaps their most mind-blowing ability, becoming invisible in plain sight. The orchid mantis doesn't just hide among flowers. It is the flower. And it's so convincing that it actually attracts more pollinators than real orchids. Think about that for a second. Evolution crafted a predator so perfect at mimicking its environment that it's literally better at being a flower than actual flowers. These living works of art start their deception from day one. Orchid mantis babies emerge from their egg sacs already wearing disguises, mimicking dangerous assassin bugs with their foul taste and painful stabs. It's like being born with a fake ID that warns everyone you're too dangerous to mess with. And if that doesn't work, they've got backup, striking a kung fu pose that makes them appear larger and more threatening to potential predators. But the orchid mantis is just one player in a cast of thousands. Some species look identical to twigs. Others become indistinguishable from tree bark, and desert varieties blend seamlessly into sand. There's even one that mimics the eyes of an owl when threatened, spreading its wings to display terrifying eye spots that make predators think twice about attacking. The precision of this mimicry is so exact that scientists believe some mantises evolved directly alongside the objects they copy. It's like nature's own arms race, where survival depends on becoming something you're not. But here's where it gets really wild. What happens when your disguise starts failing? The color-changing shapeshifters imagine your perfect camouflage suddenly becoming useless. The green grass you've spent your entire life blending into turns brown during a drought. Or the flowers you mimic start wilting. For most animals, this would be a DMN sentence. But praying mantises have a trick that would make chameleons jealous. They can completely change their appearance between molts. The Egyptian praying mantis lives in African savannas, where grass can shift from lush green to dried brown within days after rainfall. Researchers were baffled when they noticed that mantises somehow match these rapid environmental changes perfectly. The secret? They're reading the humidity levels like a biological barometer. Low humidity triggers them to turn brown at their next molt, while high humidity keeps them green. It's environmental adaptation at its finest. Other species take this even further. Some respond to light intensity. Bright conditions signal that their leafy hiding spots might be dying, so they shift to brown. African varieties even turn jet black during fire season, a phenomenon scientists call fire melanism. They're literally changing colors to survive wildfires before they even start. And flower-dwelling mantises. They can completely transform their coloration when moved from one flower species to another, like living mood rings that respond to their surroundings instead of emotions. Scientists call this environmental polymorphism, and it's one of the most sophisticated examples of adaptive camouflage in the natural world. But here's the truly mind-bending part. Researchers suspect mantises might be mimicking more than just visual cues. How else would the orchid mantis attract more pollinators than actual flowers? They might be producing chemical scents that perfectly replicate flower pheromones. If true, We're looking at creatures that have mastered multi-sensory deception on a level that would make Hollywood special effects artists weep with envy, breaking every rule in the food chain now that we've covered how they hide. Let's talk about how they hunt. And prepare yourself, because this is where praying mantises go from impressive to absolutely terrifying. These insects have been documented killing and eating birds on every continent, except Antarctica. We're not talking about the occasional lucky strike. This is systematic predation that happens so regularly. Scientists have recorded 147 separate incidents across 13 different countries. The most jaw-dropping examples come from hummingbird feeders, where mantises position themselves like snipers, waiting for the perfect shot. When a hummingbird hovers within their 5-10 centimeter strike zone, the mantis explodes into action with reflexes that make martial arts masters look sluggish. In less than 1/10 of a second, those raptorial claws lock onto the bird's skull, and there's absolutely no escape. What happens next is both fascinating and horrifying. The mantis typically holds the bird by its head and begins feeding on the brain while the victim is still alive. It's like something out of a zombie apocalypse, except the zombie is an insect that weighs a fraction of what its victim does. The precision is surgical. Those mandibles work like microscopic scissors, slicing through bone and tissue with ease. But birds aren't their only oversized prey. Researchers have documented mantises taking down frogs, lizards, and even fish. There's footage of one fishing guppies out of a fountain, a behavior never before seen in wild mantises. They're adapting their hunting techniques in real time. The mechanics of these attacks are what truly set mantises apart from other insect predators. While most rely on venom or stings to subdue prey, mantises use pure mechanical advantage. Their raptorial claws are covered in dozens of sharp spines that create an inescapable grip. Once those claws close, the prey might as well be caught in a bear trap, designed by evolution itself. The physics-defying precision hunters, here's where things get really scientific. And honestly, a bit unbelievable. Mantises don't just strike fast. They strike with accuracy that would make professional archers jealous. Wingless juvenile mantises can leap from horizontal surfaces to vertical ones, 2 body lengths away with nearly 100% success rate. That's like a human jumping from the ground to a wall 20 feet away and sticking the landing every single time. The secret lies in their incredible understanding of physics. Mid-flight, they use angular momentum transfer to rotate their bodies into perfect landing position. Scientists prove this by gluing mantis abdomens in place, preventing proper rotation. The result? The mantises still reach their targets but face-planted instead of landing gracefully. It's like they have built-in gyroscopes that would make NASA engineers envious. But accuracy means nothing without the speed to back it up, and this is where mantises truly shine. Their strikes consist of 2 phases. First, they extend their arms outward in an approach phase, then sweep inward to scoop prey right out of the air. The entire sequence happens faster than you can blink, literally. We're talking about reflexes that operate on a timescale where most animals can't even register what's happening. The force generated by these strikes is phenomenal. Remember, we're talking about insects that regularly overpower prey 3 times their size while the victim is actively struggling. The biomechanics involved require the mantis to generate enough clamping force to hold onto a panicking bird or frog, while simultaneously using its mandibles to slice through protective barriers like feathers, scales, or bone. What's even more impressive is their selective targeting. Mantises don't just grab randomly. They specifically aim for the skull when attacking vertebrates, going straight for the brain like seasoned neurologists. This isn't accidental. It's strategic hunting that shows a level of anatomical understanding we typically associate with much more intelligent predators. The 3D vision revolution that's changing robotics. You might be wondering how such small creatures achieve this level of precision. The answer lies in their eyes, and what scientists discovered about mantis vision is absolutely revolutionary. In 2018, researchers at Newcastle University made a discovery that's still sending shockwaves through both the biological and technological worlds. Praying mantises have a completely unique form of 3D vision that works differently from every other known form of stereoscopic sight. The experiments that led to this discovery are almost too whimsical to believe. Scientists created tiny 3D glasses for mantises and set up what they called a mantis cinema, where the insects watched movies of moving dots while researchers measured their responses. What they found challenged everything we thought we knew about how 3D vision works. Human stereoscopic vision relies on comparing static images from both eyes, looking for differences that help calculate distance. It's called cross-correlation, and it requires significant brain power to process. But when researchers showed mantises anti-correlated images, where black dots in one eye corresponded to white dots in the other, something amazing happened. While this completely destroys human depth perception, mantises weren't fazed at all. The breakthrough came when researchers realized that mantis 3D vision only works with moving objects. They're not comparing static images like we do. They're analyzing patterns of movement in three-dimensional space. It's a completely different algorithm running in their tiny brains, one that's simpler, more efficient, and perfectly suited to their hunting lifestyle. Think about it from an evolutionary perspective. Mantises are ambush predators, hunting camouflaged prey. Being able to detect the slightest movement in 3D space while ignoring static background clutter is exactly what they need. Their system is so efficient that it actually outperforms human vision when it comes to tracking moving camouflaged objects. This discovery is revolutionizing computer vision and robotics. While we've been trying to replicate human-style 3D vision in machines, mantises have shown us a simpler, more effective approach that requires far less computational power. It's like we've been trying to build sports cars when what we really needed were motorcycles. Simpler, faster, and perfect for the job. The boyfriend-eating mystery finally solved now. Let's tackle the behavior that's made praying mantises infamous: sexual cannibalism. Everyone knows that female mantises always eat their mates. But like most common knowledge, this turns out to be wildly exaggerated. The reality is far more nuanced and, honestly, more fascinating than the myth. Scientific studies show that females only cannibalize males in 13–28% of encounters in the wild. It's not inevitable, and it's definitely not because they're ruthless man-haters. Instead, it's a calculated biological decision based on some pretty compelling factors, with hunger being the primary motivator. Researchers conducted a brilliant experiment to test this theory. They divided female mantises into feeding groups ranging from well-fed to basically starving, then observed what happened when males approached for mating. The results were eye-opening. Well-fed females attracted some males, but rarely ate them. Poorly fed females attracted fewer males, probably because they had less energy to produce attractive pheromones. But here's where it gets really interesting. The starving females actually attracted more males than the well-fed ones. Why? Because they were putting every last bit of energy into producing irresistible pheromones, essentially using themselves as bait. When those desperate males arrived, they became dinner instead of fathers. It's a reproductive strategy, so ruthless it's almost admirable. The benefits for females are substantial. Eating a male improves body condition by 33% and increases egg production by 40%. This is crucial because female mantises produce egg cases called ootheae that can weigh 30–50% of their body weight. That's like a human giving birth to a 75-pound baby. It requires massive nutritional investment. Meanwhile, males invest almost nothing in reproduction beyond their genetic material. They can theoretically mate with multiple females, so long as they don't get eaten. It's a high-risk, high-reward strategy, where survival means successfully reproducing. But getting caught means becoming protein for someone else's offspring. The disturbing intelligence behind the madness, perhaps the most unsettling thing about praying mantises, isn't their cannibalistic tendencies or their bird-hunting prowess. It's their intelligence. These creatures consistently demonstrate problem-solving abilities and adaptability that challenge our assumptions about insect cognition. Take that mantis fishing guppies from a fountain. This wasn't learned behavior passed down through generations. It was innovation happening in real time. The mantis observed an opportunity, figured out how to exploit it, and successfully adapted its hunting technique to an entirely new environment. That level of behavioral flexibility is something we typically associate with much more advanced animals. Their decision-making process during hunts reveals sophisticated calculations happening in brains smaller than rice grains. Mantises don't just attack anything that moves. They make split-second assessments based on prey size, distance, and probability of success. They have distance thresholds programmed into their nervous systems that determine when to strike and when to wait for a better opportunity. The precision of their targeting also suggests anatomical knowledge that borders on the medical. When attacking vertebrates, they consistently go for the skull, specifically targeting the brain. This isn't random violence. It's strategic killing that maximizes efficiency while minimizing the victim's ability to escape or fight back. Researchers have observed mantises adapting their hunting strategies based on environmental conditions, learning from failed attempts, and even displaying what appears to be curiosity about novel objects in their environment. They track movement with an intensity that scientists describe as target acquired, maintaining focus with a dedication that's both impressive and slightly terrifying. The more we study these creatures, the more we realize they occupy a unique position in the animal kingdom. They're insects with vertebrate-like hunting strategies, tiny predators with sophisticated sensory systems, and ancient creatures using cutting-edge biological technology. They challenge our understanding of intelligence, consciousness, and what it means to be aware of one's environment. The final verdict on nature's perfect predator. So what's the verdict on praying mantises? Are they creepy little freaks or evolutionary masterpieces? After diving deep into their biology, behavior, and abilities, the answer is undeniably both. They're living contradictions, seemingly peaceful prayer posers that are actually ruthless killers, tiny insects that regularly prey on much larger animals, and simple creatures with surprisingly sophisticated abilities. Their impact on our understanding of biology extends far beyond entomology. The discovery of their unique 3D vision is already influencing robotics and artificial intelligence development. Their color-changing abilities are teaching us new lessons about environmental adaptation. Their hunting strategies are redefining what we consider possible for insects to achieve. Perhaps most importantly, mantises remind us that nature's creativity knows no bounds. Every time we think we figured out the rules of biology, creatures like these come along to shatter our assumptions. They're living proof that evolution can produce solutions so elegant and efficient that they seem almost magical. The next time you encounter a praying mantis in your garden, take a moment to appreciate what you're really looking at. You're not just seeing an insect. You're witnessing millions of years of evolutionary perfection packaged in a form that continues to surprise and amaze scientists around the world. Just maybe don't get too close. You never know when those raptorial claws might decide you look like an interesting meal. These remarkable creatures have spent 300 million years perfecting their craft, and they're showing no signs of slowing down. As we continue studying them, who knows what other secrets they might reveal? One thing's certain: in the ongoing arms race between predator and prey, the praying mantis has established itself as one of nature's most formidable competitors. And that's a legacy that deserves both our respect and our fascination. That's a wrap on today's wild journey. But here at the Zoo-phoria Show, we're just getting started exploring nature's most incredible stories. Subscribe if you want to keep discovering the shocking, hilarious, and downright unbelievable truths about the animals sharing our planet. Your next favorite animal fact is just one click away.